Welcome to the Heron Heads podcast. My name is Julio, and I'm joined today by some friends and fellow Inter Miami fans, Dave, Chris, and Jose. And on behalf of the guys, we want to thank you for joining us for episode 16 here on the Heron Heads podcast, your first place for all things Inter Miami. For those of you watching live on YouTube, thanks for stopping by, and make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons if you enjoy the show. Before we begin, a few shout outs to make. First and foremost, thank you to Oli for hooking Dave and myself up to tickets to watch Inter Miami versus Sporting Kansas City. We also need to give a huge shout out to Matias, our newest chief Heron Head on Patreon. Thank you so much for the generous support. Really appreciate it. And then additionally, thank you to our other Heron Head patrons, Art, Brian, Kevin, James, and Karen. If you feel so inclined to support us on Patreon, you will find a link in the description wherever you are listening. And if you don't feel so inclined, well, that's totally okay too. We appreciate you being here. As with our preview episode, we also have teamed up with our good friend, the Attacking Midfielder, a great Inter Miami resource that sends fantastic, in-depth previews and recaps delivered straight to your inbox. To sign up or read past editions, visit attmid.com. The link will be available in the description below. So, Dave and I have just made the hour-long trek back from Drive Pink Stadium to Miami, and that's why our live reaction has been delayed slightly compared to usual. But this was Dave's first in-person experience at an Inter Miami match, so I'm just going to kick it straight to him. Dave, how was it? How did you enjoy it?
I had an amazing time. Once again, thank you so much for the opportunity to go. It was great. Not only was it my first match, but it was my first time we sat what was considered behind goal. So it was like that end zone view for an NFL type game. And I had never really seen a soccer match from that perspective. I've been to a Miami CF game and I've been to different college games that I sat on the sidelines, but never from this angle. So it was a different vantage point that I'm not accustomed to. Luckily, we were on the side where many goals were scored. So I mean, it was fun. It was a lot of fun and excitement. The atmosphere was great. I was a little worried since Messi wasn't going to play today that we might not have such a full house, but I was very, very pleased by the end of the game. You can really tell that the stadium had filled out. It took a little bit for the fans to trickle in, but the supporter section was rocking, and the two side stanchions were also pretty full. So I'm very, very happy with the attendance and yeah, the overall game day experience was great. I almost got hit in the face with a soccer ball, but I managed to survive. And yeah, it was great. I had a great time.
Is that what you guys meant when you said that you almost got knocked out? Was it with the soccer ball? Oh,
yeah.
I wasn't sure what you guys were talking about.
Yeah, it was. I could have touched the ball if I wanted to, but I had my phone in my crotch, and I didn't want to drop the phone. So obviously, I just stayed sitting down. But if I stood up, I would have grabbed the ball. But it was a rocket shot, so it could have hit me in the face.
Yeah, I was totally get jealous you guys were there. Honestly, it was such a great game to be there live for. It was from beginning to end. Honestly, it was exciting. Just the way it all happened. They scored first, and I'm sure you guys felt it in the stadium that it was probably kind of deflating when they scored, because it did sound like it kind of quieted down a little bit. But then penalty kick came, Campana made it, and that's it. It was just uphill from there. And that place on TV, it sounded like it was rocking. I don't know about there, but it sounded real live there. I mean, on TV, it was
the
great game to be at.
The crowd willed that penalty. I think Campana went down, and we were all like, ah! and you know what? We did it. We did it, guys. Together as a community, we got that pen. We almost got a handball at another point, but it was on the far side of the field, so we couldn't get it.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. Glad you guys were able to be there. We got some nice footage from you guys too, that if whoever's watching, go on our Instagram, go on our Twitter, check it out. There's some nice stuff that we put up there. So good shots, great seats.
How about you, Julio? What was your thought?
I loved it. I'm kind of on the same boat as Dave. I've never watched a soccer match from one of the ends. So it was, the depth perception took, I don't think we ever got adjusted to it. Like once the second half hit and we were attacking away from where we were sitting, it was difficult to track what was happening. Like you would be able to follow the build up until we got to the attacking third, and then we would kind of
For
at the Megatron or whatever it's called. We'd have to peek at the big screen that was showing the actual like broadcast because it was
Jumbotron.
yeah, the Jumbotron, whatever, Megatron. It was very difficult to track what was actually happening. So that was interesting, but it was awesome at the same time. In the first half, we scored 2 goals. We got to watch a penalty and then the Campana header right in front of us. We were just left of net and 7 rows deep, so we were like right there. So it was super cool. I mean, we caught the whole Yedlin build up, and when he crossed it, and then Campana headed it towards us, and it was awesome. Like it was super cool. We saw 3 goals on our end, 2 by Miami, 1 by Kansas City. And yeah, it was great. I mean, the atmosphere was really good. Towards kickoff, it seemed like maybe like 70% full. And then by the time we got to halftime, it was really like almost full capacity, which was really something that I was interested in seeing. I wasn't sure how full it was going to get, knowing that Messi wasn't playing.
Well, but to also give some context to those that are probably not from Miami that are listening overseas or just not from Miami in general, there was also a major college football game happening today as well. So a lot of folks went to that game first, and then they went to the Drive Pink Stadium afterwards because it finished probably around 6:30. So by the time they go to Ghana, it's right around kickoff time. But it's funny you guys mentioned the field goal area. That's where, like in American football, that's where we would end zone seating. I kind of like that because you kind of can see from a different angle from like us 4. You guys don't know, but we played pro clubs. That's how we even got into wanting to do this in the first place, because we play FIFA all the time together, and we always see it from the side angle, right? But if you're talking like Madden football, like you're always having the end zone. That's how you see the field better whenever you're going to make a play. So it's just funny because watching Sergio probably from that angle where he can get those outlets, it's kind of like a quarterback in the sense, right? Where you're kind of seeing where is he going to pass it to, what angles, what lanes. So that must have been a fun experience.
It definitely...
Go for it.
It definitely heightened my appreciation for Facundo Farias. It was so much more obvious, and I don't know how the broadcast felt, but it was so obvious that when he received the ball at any given point in time, so dangerous. Like it was obvious that he was the trigger man, and you felt the difference when he got the ball versus when Stefanelli received the ball or Robinson. Like Farias got the ball, and it was immediately like I started recording on my phone if Farias received the ball because I was like, this might be the goal, and that is something that I got from the end zone from the end seating that made that I feel was very different from broadcast angle.
Yeah, sitting behind goal definitely gives you a much bigger appreciation for those attacks once they're at that developed stage. You don't feel the buildup as much in midfield and when they're further down the defensive side, but you feel like you're right in it when they're in the attacking position, when they're in the attacking third. And yeah, going off of what Julio was saying, when Farias has the ball, the skill is just obvious. The skill and the burst combined, like that's going to be dangerous. The more he develops in the system, it's going to be great. And yeah, Stefanelli didn't have that same experience, but I was pleased. I was pleased with him on the ball. When he had the ball, you can see the glimpses. You can see he has the skill to progress, and I'm excited that I didn't call for him to start in this game, and you know what? I'm glad he did because these guys need playing time to develop. So I'm glad Robbie Robinson got the start. I'm glad Stefanelli got the start because especially Robbie Robinson, he looked a little rough at the start of the game, but by the time he got off, I thought he was playing much better. These guys need to play. They need to play, and this is their opportunity now with so many guys off. And I'm glad Tata is getting them on, finding them, and putting them in positions to succeed.
All right.
Yeah, just to go back on Facu, man. I told you guys I'm in love with the guy already. He was already getting up there the last few matches, And I was like, I need to see a little more. I need to see a little more. And then tonight, it just put me over the edge. He's playing out of his mind. His skill is so great. His runs are great. Just the way he sets up a play is amazing. So he's such a fun player to watch. And last episode, we were talking about who's going to take the Messi role a little bit, right? And I think he didn't do it 100%, obviously, because we said it's Messi. You can't replicate that. But I think he did a really good job attacking up there, looking for the empty spaces, getting the ball out to the right player in the right moment. So I'm really excited for what we saw. I want to see more. He better be starting every match from now on. If he doesn't, I'm going to be really mad. Great play.
But you know what? Talking about Facu a little bit, you're saying the right thing as far as him taking the Messi role. He did. Maybe he did it in his own way, right? Because he's not going to be Messi, but he was getting from the front line. He was a nomad. He was just traveling all around the field. He had no position. He was just going and getting the ball and trying to move it up the pitch. He was constantly doing that, which is very similar to what Messi does. And that helped us a lot today. He had a great match rating. He did very well. But we had a few others that did very well. Right, Julio? Your buddy?
Campana, baby. Campana, baby. I've been saying it from the start. This guy. Before we jump off of Facu and talk all about Campana, because we definitely are going to talk about Campana. When we interviewed Luis Miguel Echegaray from ESPN, he mentioned how when you play with or against Messi, you either rise to the level or you fold. And Facu rose to the occasion tonight. Like he sticks out to me, and from the first time he played for us, he sticks out as something special. Like he is a special talent that for the future of this club is going to be a key player. Like you can tell he gets it. We saw it the first time he came on for our team, and you saw it again tonight where he was given a lot more responsibility because, like you said, he was very free-flowing. He was almost positionless in the attack. The lineup itself was a 4-3-3, but as soon as the match started, it felt like it was Campana kind of isolated and like a 4-2-3-1 with Robbie Robinson and Farias and who was the other, Arroyo, kind of pushing up a little bit, creating this sort of just amalgamous midfield that was very free-flowing, and Farias was the centerpiece of that. But yeah, let's talk about Campana. Why not? So Kansas City takes an early lead with a play that was very shocking to me. Drake Callender fumbled a shot that was taken from well outside the box. From our angle, so we were sitting on the opposite end, right? And when the guy took the shot from Kansas City, the initial long shot, it was obvious to me that it knuckled a lot. Like it started kind of right and then went back towards center where Callender was and rose a little bit. And the final little rising action, I think it caused Callender not to be able to catch the ball cleanly, and he just fumbled it right in front of, I'm not sure who scored it. Was it Chaloy? However you pronounce it. It fell right in front of him.
Cioli or something like that.
Yeah, and he was able to finish it. And I was like, man, that was really unfortunate for Callender. And with the form he's been in, that was kind of surprising. And then immediately after we were playing really well, we were able to be on the front foot. And it's always dangerous because if you give up the lead, Kansas City probably knows that we don't have Messi, so we're probably less dangerous and we're going to find it difficult to score attacking chances. They might be able to sit back. So it was so important that we were able to get the penalty shortly thereafter them scoring. And Campana stepped up. He's been kind of shaky on penalties, so I wasn't full of confidence. Campana's my guy, but his penalty taking is not like the best. Like he's not our penalty taker. It's Messi, it's Martinez, and then like I guess Campana. God forbid Jordi Alba takes another penalty in his career. So then Campana slots it, and then it's a game on, right? It's 1-1, 0-0 for all intents and purposes, like game on. So I don't know if you guys had any comments about Campana leading up to the penalty, but I was thrilled that he scored it in front of our faces.
And check
Did
out
your heart
TikTok.
melt a little bit?
Check out Instagram, TikTok. We uploaded the reels of that. beautiful, beautiful videos that we captured on it. If you look at TikTok, I'm the one that manages that. Very fun. I always like to do like fireworks and just a lot of crazy things. It drives everyone else crazy, but I like it. Plug.
Yeah, Campana going up to that goal. It's not that he was slow; it was just kind of unnoticed. I think for kind of the whole attack was pretty slow going up to that moment. So I think that really fired them up and gave us the next step to obviously continue forward and score those other 2 goals. But going back to Calendar, that broke my heart, man. We don't see that. You got our viewers know that we love him here, and you don't see that mistake very often from him. So it's a super rare play. It was just kind of a freak play, and you know, it happens. It happens to the best of them. And I think I told you guys on the chat, I don't want him back on the U.S. men's national team practice or camp. Get him out of there. Just keep him focused on here. But no, it happens, you know. And he did have some other great saves throughout the match, so it's fine. It wasn't his best match in the most recent history, but it was fine. He made some good saves and he did fine.
He was actually the worst rated player in the whole field today from everyone. The worst rated. And then we're just talking about Campana, the best rated by a lot. He was like the worst by a lot. So just to put in perspective, someone that we always expect to be, you know, one of the better players on our team, bombed today. It is what it is.
And
he's been our second best player after Messi.
Yeah. So
and I'm glad we had him, even if he wasn't in his top form. I'm still glad he was behind. He was in front of the net, because if it was Santos, that's another unknown. And who knows? Maybe he would have risen to the occasion. But in a game like this, I told you, I said it before. I'm like, he's a huge important player, because our defense does allow chances. So we need to have that rock. And look, you see what happens when it falters. It's a goal that we don't expect anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah. But overall, I think he kind of shook off that moment and he stuck with it. Clearly not his best game, but still good enough to get the win.
Yeah, Superman punch at the end, that was very important. I don't know if you guys saw it from your end. I don't know if
that was right on our end.
That was right in our faces.
Yeah, like it's that Superman punch to your face that you saw. I mean, that was beautiful, just because it was at the end of the game, and it was like, I don't know about you guys, but if it was tense in the stadium, but from my seat, I was like, this is getting really close, and they don't call time, and I'm like, this is gonna end in a 1 point. We're gonna get 1 point from this, aren't we? So it just felt like it was trending that way the whole time, and I was like, my God, can we just like wrap this up? And then I was like looking at my boy Jordy, and I'm like, Jordy, can you like take us out of here?
Jordy was pissed,
dude. At the end, I think he was so like this should be over, that he just totally whiffed on a ball. They were able to get a kick into the box. I was like, dude, get your head in the game. He had I wasn't happy with his performance either, just because without Messi, you kind of need these other guys to step up. Calendar, I was sad because he didn't step up. Jordy, I didn't think he stepped up either. So we had these great matches from Facu, which we just talked about it in the past episode, how important he was going to be. But man, we didn't get some of our best guys didn't step up either, though.
That's one thing that you said, that we feel the pressure in the stadium. That's another thing that I wasn't accustomed to. I've never seen a game go into stoppage time live. Whenever I've seen it on TV, you actually have the extra time keep counting off. When you're in person, it just says 90 minutes. It doesn't go off any more than that. So you're just sitting there in the wind, just hoping for them to blow the whistle. So the entire time we're just staring at the ref, like, come on, call time. Like, and it just would never come. And then they got a corner, and then they got another one. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Let's end this game already. And then you see Alba kind of melting down a little bit, and that's something that I don't want to see in this team, because like I've said it before, we have a bunch of young guys and they look to the older players for stability. So when Alba gets the yellows and things like that, that tends to show a little bit of weakness. And yeah, it's also extremely, extremely refreshing to see our young players actually step up to the plate and kind of calm it down. They did a good job of taking the game and finishing it. So these are great steps. These are great steps to see, and it shows that we have the stuff to go and deep into this playoff hope.
How about Sergio? That he stepped up. We've been talking about how he's been like kind of lackluster lately. He did not have a bad game. He did not have a bad game. He had a few.
I didn't think he had such a good game either.
No,
I
no.
still expect more
Right.
from him. I really do.
Right.
Let me say one thing about that, because we said we focused a lot on the veteran presence on our last episode, that it was going to be very much needed in this match. Guys, how about Sergio with that heads up play? It was the goal that Farias scored. The guys are arguing, KC guys arguing with the referee after a handball, I think it was,
Mhm.
and Sergio just goes, whoop, steals the ball, puts it back on the ground, passes it to Faria, and boom, goal. I mean, talk about veteran presence.
Heady play.
Heady play. Those young guys, I mean, who knows? Maybe they would have, but they didn't think about it. He's the first one that went over there, ran there, passed it, got the score. That veteran play, man. That's what we needed. And that was, if it wasn't for that, it would have been tied 2-2. Who knows?
That may have been the difference in the game. That play.
I think
Right.
plays like that are why he's so important, because really, and I haven't noticed this so egregiously from the broadcast angle, but from our angle, it felt like he was turned very easily a lot of times. Like, we would see people dribble around him and just like kind of pump fake almost one way and then go the other direction, and it felt like he was beat a number of times pretty easily. So we need him to make those plays to kind of balance out the bad. To me, it felt like it was almost a more poor performance from him than a good performance. I thought he was going to have like a top tier performance, and I didn't think he came close to that. I mean, he was obviously instrumental, but his long term worries me a little bit.
Right. What I mean when I say that I was impressed by him, it was more so like they were talking in the broadcast, something that you guys can't get in the stadium. They were talking about like how the Messi effect when he's not on the pitch, and how these guys were not intimidated with us at all, and they were not double, triple teaming one player where there was a lot of alleys and openings for a lot of our like Fakus and also. So it was way harder for Faku to be able to do anything, and it was way harder for anybody to just like, hey, they can't just dribble around anybody because they're focusing on everyone at the same, at different times, instead of like, hey, there's Messi, we got to run over there. You know what I'm saying? And they were saying that it was disrupting our offense a lot.
Yeah, so I was overall pretty happy. And just a secondary note on the tension in the stadium. So we're up 3-1. Dave looks over at me and he's like, I'm so glad we're up 2 goals right now. Maybe within 3 minutes of him saying that, Pulido scores and makes it 3-2. And the rest of the way was so stressful. And like he said, when it goes to extra time or stoppage time, the clock in the stadium stops at 90. So we're just there, no idea how much time is left.
That's so
the whistles
weird.
just grow louder in the stadium, hoping that the ref will blow the whistle. We knew there was a lot of extra time because we knew that there was 6 minutes added, but we had no idea how much time had elapsed. So I was like, Dave blew it. Dave blew this for everyone.
I felt so bad, and I said it loud enough that I knew everybody around me heard me. So I'm like, these guys are all gonna kill me. If they equalize, this is on me, and I'm gonna have to make a run for it. Luckily, Messi wasn't there, so his bodyguard isn't there. So if I had to, I could sprint across the field without risk of dying. But yeah, I said that, and yeah, that would have been my fault. So that goal is on me.
Did you guys mingle with any of the supporters?
Yeah, some people that were sitting next to us were very nice, and a couple people in the 45-minute merchandise store line that we interacted with when the starting lineup came out, and it was very full. I had my last game that I went to in person was last year, so obviously pre-Messi, pre-anyone, and a substantial increase in attendance. Like, it was very noticeable. When I went last time, the like fan zone area was pretty sparsely populated, and we were able to like do all the little activities around with no wait. Everything had a wait. Everything had a long line except for the concessions because everyone was waiting to buy a jersey or a shirt. So that was something that stuck out to me tremendously. Like, it was an event I feel like before
And-
you were going to almost like a college athletics event. Now it
And-
was like a real sporting event.
And there was a good international crowd. When we were in that line, the people in front of us, I overheard them speaking that they were on vacation. They were from a country. I'm not certain what language they were speaking. It wasn't Spanish. It wasn't English. But they were. I did overhear them say something about being on vacation that I understood. So there's a bunch of people who are. This is now a destination. When you're here in Miami or you're here in South Florida, you're trying to catch an Inter Miami game, and that's without Messi. Maybe they bought the tickets thinking Messi was gonna play today, but they showed up. They showed up, and countless people showed up. So
And it was a great game to be at.
yeah.
Honestly, it was a great game to be at. High scoring, back and forth. I mean, lots of interesting calls. There was like the penalty call, which I think was a clear penalty. There was the maybe handball that we saw. There was yellow cards that were interesting. You saw really nice goals. You saw the Facu goal, which was kind of out of nothing, and then the Pulido goal, which again was kind of out of nothing. Like it was a weird deflection, and when it happened, I was like, oh, cool, we stopped that attack because things were getting kind of they were dangerous around the box, but Pulido had been very quiet up to that point. And then the ball falls right to him, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is either going to be the calendar save that we get once a game, or Pulido's about to make this hold on to your butts time.
They got a little bit fortunate there because whoever had the ball before the deflection, he kind of took a dive in the box. And I think the defenders kind of glanced at him, hoping they're like, "Oh no, I hope that's not a pen." And then the ball bounces perfectly, and Pulido, to his credit, put a really nice strike on the ball and put it in the top bin. So there's not like I can't fault Calendar for that goal, especially with everything that happened beforehand. But I think that player taking a dive kind of took a little bit of their attention away from the ball for a second. And another thing I wanted to point out was we were worried about Miami Freedom Park being next to Miami International Airport. Lockhart Stadium is right next to an airport. So, and they're firing off fireworks left and right. So you know what? It's not going to be a problem.
It's a tiny private airport, though.
It's not the same.
They'll figure it out.
International
It's not
airport.
giant commercial jets flying over.
Commercial jets can handle fireworks more than a little
Also,
plane.
well, first off, the fireworks are shot very low. Like the pyrotechnics from the top of the stadium are shot very low. I also don't know how many fireworks they're going to be shooting because it's going to be similar to Hard Rock Stadium where it's partially covered. But anyways, besides the point, more egregious is
they'll shoot the fireworks down into the stadium, into the crowd.
The people.
yeah, that's what they should do. More egregious is the drive required after you leave there to get back to Miami. Just awful. You're just driving. There wasn't even traffic. It just took an hour of driving at full speed, full tilt. So let's talk about the second Campana goal, since we've talked about the penalty and the Facu goal. So Yedlin sort of weasels his way into the attacking third. I thought he lost the dribble at first. He kind of like juked himself out of his own boots. And then he got back to the ball, plays a really nice cross, and Campana rose above everyone and put his beautiful face on that ball. And it just bounced beautifully into the goal. I was so happy. And it's part of the reason why he should be starting game in, game out ahead of Joseph Martinez. Because it gives us another option in attack where we have an aerial threat. And not just on attack, but on defense against set pieces, he helps clearing crosses. Even if he doesn't get to one, his physical presence helps alleviate some stress that we feel on set pieces. But I thought Campana was great.
Yeah, he's solidified himself as a starter now moving forward. Unless it comes to a question of fitness, I think that he needs to be out there. And it's evident. At this point, it's evident. And he showed that he can play the full 90 minutes plus in this one. So it's good. I think he's shown everything that he needs to show, and he was so close to having the hat trick. So it's, again, pieces are falling into place. We're seeing what we need to see from some of these players, and it's everything's an added benefit, and we're getting. I'm telling you, we're getting ready for this playoff run. It's going to happen.
Hula, just to kind of go back to your point of Campana needs to be out there. He brings something different to the pitch. When Yedlin kind of fumbled the dribble a little bit, and then he hopped it over to go towards the line. I was like, oh man, this guy messed it up. Like he was there in the box. It was perfect opportunity, and he messed it up. But then all of a sudden I see him catching up to it again right there, right before it went out of bounds. He got it and to me, he sent a prayer up there. He knew Campana was there, and he's like, "Hey, we got a big
That's
man
what
in
you
there."
can do when you have Campana.
Exactly my point. So he sent a prayer up there saying, "Hey, let's see what he could do." And Campana had, I want to say, a whole head's length over the guy in front of him. Like it wasn't even contested, to tell you the truth. He was just way over him and put his beautiful face in it and got it in there. So
You can see it really well from the video we took that he was literally a full head above the defender.
yeah, I mean, it was great to be able to throw a prayer up there. That's priceless.
I felt the same. I felt the
Martinez.
same way too. When I saw Yellen was getting close to the baseline, and in my head, I'm like, he can't cross it in. Like I have no faith in him being able to cross it in. And just like the goal that I made happen by saying they're not gonna score. Right when I had that thought, he can't cross it in. He crosses it in, and it results in a goal. So that's the beauty of having a target man.
Yeah, and like we said in the past, although Joseph Martinez brings a different dimension, he's speedy, he does his own little things. He would never have been able to do that. He probably would have tried a bicycle kick or whatever, some crazy thing to try to make up for his lack of size. So
That would have been fun.
it was refreshing, man. It was refreshing to see that something work out like that.
It counts for 2 points, I heard.
And to stay on Campana for just a little bit more, I noticed him so much coming back on defense or coming back to receive a ball when we got the ball back to start a play. And sometimes I want him to be staying up top and being kind of the outlet, but other times it's so important for him to be willing to come back and help alleviate the pressure and get the ball out of there, whether it's playing it out to the wing or just being another body that can receive a ball and play around the counter press that happens when the opposition turns the ball over. I felt like I noticed it, and I felt that he picked his spots very well to do that tonight.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about it's real quick. Toto Aviles. I thought he had played a much better, a much tidier game today. And again, I mentioned it to Julio. I'm like, man, there was one time where he came full speed at someone, and I thought for sure, I'm like, oh, he's gonna annihilate this guy. And he kind of broke down and played it perfectly, kept the guy in front of him, and he had to pass it out. And I thought he did much, much better with that. But of course, at the end, he did find a way to annihilate somebody's Achilles tendons, and he picked up an instant yellow. I thought it was funny because Busquets, for some reason, took an exception to it and was arguing it when it was clear as day that he just crushed the guy. But yeah, again, it's a step forward. He didn't lunge like we've seen in the past where he's just making dangerous attempts at the ball, and he played again the full game. So these are good steps, positive steps that I'm loving to see from the young guys.
Now, curiously speaking, we've talked about all the good things that we saw today. Are there any things that we kind of saw that were a little bit like, I wish we would have done a little better here, a little better there? Is this something to worry about now that I think we have another 2 games without Messi, or one more game? I think it is.
We have 2 at some point over the next month or so. We don't know. We were at the game, so I wasn't able to keep up with everything that happened in the world of football, but I'm not sure if he officially was going to play against Bolivia, which is a match that's coming up for Argentina, because there were questions around whether he was going to travel with the Argentinian team or if he was going to fly back. If he goes to that match, I think he's not expected to play in our next match, our being Inter Miami's next match. If that news hasn't come out, then that's still up in the air. When Tata was originally asked how many matches Messi would be missing, he said it was going to be 3. Obviously, that's a worry because he's our best player. Things that worried me, I already mentioned Sergio Busquets. I feel like he can get beat and get worked around pretty easily. He provides some savvy in attack and in defense, obviously, but we're seeing it with a little bit more frequency than I'm comfortable with. And then I think overall this was a lot of positives. I don't take away too many negatives. I think Callender had the mistake, but then he grew from it. I think Robbie Robinson had a rough start, but then he grew into the match. Stefanelli getting minutes, and he looked well when he had the ball at his feet. You could see the rust in every other element of his game, but the last time he played was in July. I think overall there were just a lot of positives. Nothing I'm not taking too many negatives away from this. Arroyo played just solid again. Toto Aviles had a Toto Aviles game, played really well for 65 minutes, had a stupid yellow card, then got his head back in the game and played another good 25 minutes. Alba's hot-headedness maybe could be something to worry about. He seems to have that edge to him, but also you need someone with an edge. So I don't know. I'm not taking away too many negatives from this match.
I have kind of two negatives that I want to point out. Obviously, you just said it. Toto Aviles, one day, one of those bonehead plays are going to come in the box, and it's going to cause us a penalty kick. It's bound to happen. He's having these bonehead plays every single match. He played a lot better today. He really did. He played great. But one day those things are going to come and bite us in the butts, and he needs to clean up. He needs to clean that up. I like his aggressiveness. You don't want to take that away from him, but he just has to find a way to clean it up a little bit and just take away, especially the yellow card. More minor penalties are, I don't want to say okay because they can still cause us, but they're better than these yellow cards that he seems to be getting every single match, or what feels like every single match. The other thing I want to point out is our set pieces, the corners. I think we allowed 7 corners today or something like that. We know that this is our weak spot on this team, and we continue to allow a large amount of corners every single match. I want to see how that's going to change. That needs to change going forward, especially if we make it to the playoffs and we're playing these higher caliber teams that can take advantage of that, like Nashville did or has done to the whole league and to us specifically. So those set pieces, those corners need to go down, in my opinion, especially since it's our weakest spot on the team.
I'd also like for us to do something with our own corners. Our corners, we just side them out. We just bring them back. We just do a quick tap back in, and that's the end of it. And I think it's a wasted opportunity, especially when we have Campana in there. We have a chance at something, but I think I think a big part of that is they're so scared of the counter that they'd rather just have another slow build and get everybody set up again before risking blowing the corner and then getting hit with the counter. So that's just a confidence thing, and I hope, and maybe with Messi they'll start doing the corners a little bit more. But overall, I think that this game definitely had way more positives than negatives. You're not going to get that type of game from Calendar very often, and yeah, you'd like to see the progress from some of the guys who haven't been playing as much. So yeah, it worries you that you're starting to see a little bit of a decline from Alba and Sergio Busquets. But overall, I think this is a building block game, and it's a stepping stone into the playoffs.
It's funny, in the comments, Ron just mentioned exactly what I was thinking in my head, where I feel like Aviles is a very, very good defender, and he's in for one bonehead play a game, which Sergio Ramos in Madrid is known for, like, just very aggressive, just extremely aggressive play. And sometimes you're going to get caught in a bad situation, and Aviles gets caught in that bad situation. But if his talent and play is at a certain level, you kind of have to live with those things. But one thing I didn't like was I wasn't very impressed with the four-man back. I like us way better when we have 5 guys in the back line. Just makes me feel more comfortable. We didn't play it horribly today, right? But I just think that we have a lot more freedom to have more possession and hold possession more when we have more guys just keeping the ball on their side. We lost the possession battle today. Obviously, we didn't have Messi that was able to keep it on our side and just do what he does. But still, I still would like us to be a little closer. Like we lost it, and it was getting worse towards the end of the game. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I just didn't like the formation. I think I'd rather see something else. But maybe we're kind of put in a bad spot with all the guys that we're not in. But yeah, that was my takeaway. Aviles, formation, and the possession. I hate the possession. We have very long possessions.
I think the biggest difference was the lack of possession that we were able to maintain by our attackers. Having Stefanelli and Robbie Robinson, I felt like they lost a lot of possession. Whereas when we have all of our team available to us, we have Messi and we have Farias, who was relegated to playing midfield. But we have those two who are much more capable, obviously, of maintaining possession, whereas Stefanelli and Robbie Robinson just once they got the ball and they had to do something with it, they were dribbling really well, but then when it came time to pass it, they were turning the ball over a lot. And I feel like that really affects how much possession we're able to maintain. So, yeah, it was necessitated by the fact that we don't have 9 of our players, a lot of which are starters in our club. So I think that factors in hugely. And yeah, I mean, our path to victory is always possession. I mean, we're very potent in attack. We're missing attackers, and we still put up 3. Granted, as we said in our match preview, Kansas City is not a very intimidating defense, but this Inter Miami team is very potent in attack.
Yeah, and actually, you mentioned Robbie Robinson, and it's funny because I don't know if you guys noticed it. I don't know if you noticed it, Chris, or anybody else noticed it, but there was a time when he was on the left wing and he was getting up past the ball, and he had like a miscommunication, which is completely normal when these guys are not playing all the time. I forgot who it was from. I want to say it was I want to say it was from Facu, but I don't recall. It was in the midfield, and they were passing it out to the wing. And it's funny because Robinson was like focused on just like sprinting upward, right? And they passed him more to the back, like right behind them, so he could. I think they wanted a slow build up. He just wanted to get going. And it's not like he has 99 pace in FIFA, right? It's just like, what are you doing? Just get the ball right there, wait for the team to build up, get it up there, And he almost like gave attitude to the guy that passed it, like. He looked in the back like, yo, what are you doing? And he went like that. The ball was like trickling to the back. It was a very slow ball just going to the out of bounds. I was like, what are you doing? Go get the ball. Like, you still have time. He had to like make a scene.
You can definitely tell the lack of familiarity between some of these players.
Yeah.
Guys, there's one guy that we have not spoken about, and I really can't believe it. We're towards the end here. Kamal Miller continues to play out of his mind. That guy, his defending is out of control. He saved one goal today. It hit his shoulder or his back or something like that. If it wasn't for that, that would have gotten the goal. I mean, the attacker had a perfect viewpoint of the goal. The guy continues to play. I don't know what Tata is telling him, but he just continues a high level of play, and he's all over the place. And I love seeing it. And we speak about it every episode. And I couldn't finish this episode without mentioning him because he is a key piece back there in our defenders, especially with Christoph out today. He just continues to shine out there.
Campana whispers is in his ear and goes, "Do it." And you know what? He did.
Yeah, I don't even question Kamal anymore. Like it's not surprising. You're right. We should give him his flowers because he deserves them. But I don't even question him anymore. Like, I don't question our defense really anymore. I think Aviles is really growing into himself and understanding his position. Yes, he makes his boneheaded little lunge every match, but otherwise, really solid. Miller has become like just a rock in defense. Like, I don't question anyone going at him. I don't put him at a disadvantage anymore in matchups. I think of him as a plus, which is amazing. Like, it's amazing to have confidence in your defense for once. So yeah, I'm glad you brought him up because he definitely deserves some flowers after his match. He had a couple nice plays throughout the match. He had a couple. At one point early on, I feel like I messaged the chat and I was like, "Oh, Kamal Miller, good play." And it's just those moments that if you notice a defender making a good play, he's doing something good.
Yeah,
because oftentimes it's overlooked.
He stopped the pass in the box, and not only did he clear it, but he cleared it outside. And so he avoided a corner. So he's playing smart as well as physical, and that's what you want.
So taking a look at the standings before we kind of call it, there was only one other match that really affected the standings as far as we're concerned. It was DC United versus San Jose, and it was a draw. So we gained 2 points on them. We are currently, sorry if you guys are hearing my mouse clicking over here. I'm trying to figure out where we stand. We are currently 6 points behind DC United for a play-in spot. We still have a game in hand over Montreal and 2 games in hand over DC United, which means we, in theory, could be level with DC United after those 2 games in hand. this is happening. There's zero doubt in my mind. There was a small percentage of doubt in my mind before, but now there is zero. We are making the playoffs, and I think we are one of the favorites. What do you guys think?
They
I think
like.
the
I
question
think
is, we just want to get it.
That's how passionate we all are. I forgot who they interviewed, but I think it was Chiellini. Chiellini had said that every Eastern Conference team better hope and pray that Miami doesn't make the playoffs, because if they do, it's over.
The best
And
team
you know
he's
what?
ever played in the MLS. That's what he said.
And you know
also.
what? It's over because we're getting in. Do it.
mic drop. Yeah, I mean, I think I was watching, I don't know what show it was now. I think I sent it to you guys. They were talking about the predictions going forward, and they had us losing a bunch of games or whatever. Oh, that's garbage. We beat LAFC. We beat Kansas City now. Come on now. Like, why are they doubting us? Without Messi, we did it today. With Messi, we do it. Stop doubting us. They're gonna make it. You know, we're like you said, 6 points behind with 2 games to make up those 6 points. It's a no-brainer. We're gonna make it in there, and it's gonna be scary for the other Eastern Conference teams. Like
And with
David said, they better watch out.
With the form that Nashville's been in, there's probably a decent chance that we make a run at just not playing, but just being a playoff team. Just like Dave said when we first were coming back to the league play. I think that's a legitimately a possibility now.
Chris, who did you say was doubting us?
Where's your Dave Stradamus?
In the Golazo show, I think it was on CBS. It was the Golazo show where they went match by match, kind of saying win, draw, or loss. And through the first 5 games, they already had us losing 2 or 3 matches.
I just love it when I'm right, and I'm so right on this. If I had my helmet nearby, I'd slam it on. But yeah, I'm telling you, I have so much confidence in this team, and yeah, when Messi's not on, look, 3 goals without Messi. I understand it's not the best competition out there, but everybody's taking the next step. And guess what? When Messi's on, we're going to be even better for it, having all these guys with now more playing experience. So, this feels great, guys. And I've said it time and time again. This feels great.
Get your popcorn ready.
Yeah, it cannot go without saying that getting 3 points while also getting some of these players some actual match time will be critical down the stretch, because we will have more matches where we don't have everyone available. So being able to dust off these players that have been sitting on the end of the bench for the good part of a couple months, this was massive. And again, not an Eastern Conference match, but we took another 3 points home. Next match will be against Atlanta. Huge match. That one's circled in red ink a couple times over. This is a huge match because this really can tilt the scales in our favor for the final playoff push here.
Yeah,
I think we have most of our games coming up. I forgot what the number was now, but it's a large amount of Eastern Conference games. So right now it's put up or shut up. We got to start beating these Eastern Conference teams, and hey, cruise right into the playoffs and keep going.
Yeah, I just want I want you, Golazo, to look at us right now. Right now, Golazo, look at us right now. You made a huge mistake. I'm tired of you talking about us like if we're Toronto. We're gonna play Toronto now. We're gonna show out. We're gonna win by 5. We're playing right now Atlanta. Is that what we're playing right now, Julio? Is that what you just said? Didn't we beat them by 60 the last time we played them? We're about to play them. We're gonna beat them by 60. We're gonna play Toronto. We're gonna beat them by 15, and then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna play. Guess who? Orlando. And that's the game I have circled. I'm looking past these 2. These are done. I've already done out. I'm looking right now at Orlando. That's going to be the game that I want us to get in there and just wreck them. And that's it. That's another top 5 team in the Eastern Conference that we're just going to just just discard of them like nothing, like Cincinnati, like when we did it to them.
I love it. Cocky Miami fan is back in full force. I love it. So we will have a preview episode out for the Atlanta match. The Atlanta match is next Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll probably have something out Thursday. So make sure you hit the subscribe and notification buttons wherever you're listening. If you've been joining us on YouTube live, thank you so much for sticking with us and chatting and interacting. It's been so fun getting your guys' messages and answering and seeing what the pulse is out there. And then if you guys are listening on audio, thanks again so much for hanging out to the end. We are the Heron Heads, and we are your first place for all things Inter Miami. We'll catch you guys next time.
Pure!